Hi Virgo, welcome to your fortnightly check-in with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Virgo, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. That being said, it's the halfway point, right? Everybody wanted weeklies, those have gone away, so I thought I would bring you something that hopefully you love just as much. And you'll have to let me know in the comments. Do you love it? Do you loathe it? What do you want more of? With that said, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you all on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's see what the universe has in store for you. Okay. He says, getting them all mixed up and jumbled up there. Alright, so for your first triplet, you have your actions and results. Let's see what's going on for you over the course of the next fortnight. I warn you, I'm probably going to say week a million times, so I apologize in advance. So for your actions and results, you've got the Knight of Pentacles, right? This is beautiful. One of the things that comes through here, this basically says slow and steady is going to win the race. And it does suggest that this week, this fortnight, you are taking your time formulating some of your plans. Look at this. For a lot of you, this is going to be a time of collection as well. So the Knight of Pentacles does suggest that whatever you're setting into motion, it's going to be about playing the long game. So you understand that this isn't immediate payout stuff, although it does look like some of you are getting some kind of a payout because you've got the Sun card here as well. Then you've got the Page of Cups, right? So I love this because in terms of your actions, you're setting things into motion with the hope that these are going to be things that flourish or at least start to give out their goods and their juices over the course of a period of time, right? Then you've got this Page of Cups coupled with the Sun card. This is not only ultimate blessings, but it's truly movement on something that you've been working on for quite some time, the Knight of Pentacles. You're starting to see results. You're starting to see momentum. You're starting to feel, right? Just as we head into spring in the northern, you're starting to feel those first sort of buds. You're starting to feel those first buds blossom. This is fantastic. In terms of your results, this is you starting to see results. This is you finally having a moment where it's like, yes, you know what? The hard work, time, effort, and energy has absolutely been worth it. So I am so here for this. For your career and communications, you've got the Ten of Wands on top of the Knight of Pentacles. This is a conversation or potentially not a dispute, but it's potentially a hard conversation that's needed to be had for some time when it comes to your work sector. Then you've got the King of Cups. All right, so we've gone from the Page to the King. Love this. A water sign male, Pisces, Cancer or Scorpio. We're in Pisces season, so it could very well be a Pisces energy. Has an impact on your work in some regard. And so this may be where a boss or a superior or maybe even a collaborator is kind of talking at you instead of to you. And this is kind of where you're like, you know what, we're going to draw a line here. And then you've got the Nine of Swords. So Virgo is here to be of service, right? You guys love to be of service, of help and stuff to other people. And what I love most about this for you is there is a really solid or potent energy here where you're kind of stepping out of that service role to say, hey, listen, I'm here to be of service, but I'm not here to be your doormat or your servant. There's a very big difference. And so that Nine of Swords with the King of Cups is you taking more emotional responsibility to maybe draw the line with somebody when it comes to the work or the profession. Now, for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, this could be a professor. It's not going to be one of your peers. It will likely be somebody that's in a position of authority or power that you're kind of, it's like, oh, this is going against the grain. Maybe it goes against the grain of what you would usually do, but you're absolutely kind of saying, no, you know what? It doesn't matter what position you're in. And I really like to see this because I always believed that as well. Like, even in my working history, I don't care if you're my boss or my superior, you will be told the same way as everybody else, because whether you have more knowledge than me in a certain field doesn't give you the right to treat me a certain way. For those of you that are employed by somebody else, this is lovely. What it gives you is, again, right, this solid ability over this fortnight to push back against a boss or a superior. But it's coming from an emotional need to kind of, I almost feel like this is for a lot of you, maybe you've taken enough shit and you're kind of at that point where it's like, no, you know what, now you're going to start to see the other part of me that is going to push back. So I'm here for it. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, this might be, over this fortnight, you might realize where an element of what you do has kind of, I almost want to say, like, it's gone rogue. And so you might have a moment where you're like, okay, do I shut this thing down? Do I get rid of it? It's almost like you're in a little bit of a tween place. So you're trying to figure out, does this actually have a part of my future? Is this where I actually envision things going? Is this going to really be a part of what I'm trying to do, or my company or my business? What does it actually, how is it feeding or nourishing me in an emotional sense? Is it at all, right? Like, that's the question that's being asked here. And then for those of you that are retired and no longer working, look, it could be that you are having maybe potentially tough talks with a family member, with somebody that you genuinely care for. And it might be that you are having to kind of set or reaffirm some boundaries. It could be that maybe you're having the talk about, okay, you're 21, it's time for you to start moving out. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're kicking them out of the nest, but maybe you're starting to look at, okay, how do we move forward from here? And it could be, a conversation or a question of some sort that really does see you having to dig into your feelings about how this is going to go. For your love and relations, you've got the Six of Cups. So for those of you that are single, it does look like you could be reconnecting with somebody from your past. Because it's coupled with the King of Cups, it's not, but it's right next to it, I almost get the sense that this is someone from your past that you've been romantically linked to before. Potentially you met this person through your work, maybe through their work, maybe they offered a service and you were, you connected in some way. Like, there's a sense here, there's a reconnection for those of you that are single. Then you've got the Moon card. So your King of Cups there is very likely to be a Pisces. The Six of Cups coupled with the Moon card literally represents like your childhood, like your deep past. So what this suggests to me is, for those of you that are single and open to connecting with someone or meeting with someone or, going down that route, it could be somebody maybe that you grew up with. Maybe it's the teenage boyfriend, girlfriend that you had the biggest crush on, or maybe we dated and then they moved away or we moved away, or like this could be somebody coming back into your world that you really don't expect to reconnect with, but could do anyway. And then you've got the Judgment card, right? But look at this. Things are very different this time round. I'm even going to go as far as to say, for those of you that maybe split up with somebody on, like sometimes you break up with someone because you're like, well, it's not really going anywhere. We don't have the spark. We're, it's nice and it's all the rest of it, but we just know it's not us, right? Like, everyone's had at least one of those, I think. And if you're single, this could be literally, right? Because if you've been with me long enough, you will have heard me say the judgment card can be a blast from the past, and it's usually like a big one. Then the moon card itself has a past slash reflectory kind of energy. And then you've got the Six of Cups, which is about memories from our childhood, from, the brighter, lighter days of our lives and our world. And so I see these here and I'm like, for those of you that maybe you split up with someone, not because it was awful or whatever, or maybe it was. And maybe this time round when you bump into each other and you're like, oh, do I say hello? Do I not say hello or whatever? Maybe a friend, introduces you not realizing that you already know each other. And it's like, oh, fuck, yeah, we broke up and it was awful and it was this and this. And you get talking and you're like, wow, this person is like a completely but much better, more evolved version of themselves. And make no mistake, Virgo you may be, but they are also thinking the same thing about you. So whether it was an amicable split or not, this could be a reconnection to somebody from your past that maybe you just never thought, like it's like, oh god, no, I'd never go down that route again. We've all said that at some point as well. Says Raph, just casually airing his business out. Jokes aside, for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this I actually think could be you guys getting back to the honeymoon period after what has potentially been quite a rocky time where you weren't sure if you were going to make it. Maybe you were kind of like, well, the way that things are at the moment, I'm not sure we'll ever be in that place again, and actually we might not make it. But then on this side of it, this next fortnight is really going to show you, like, yeah, you know what, actually we are invested in each other and there is a lot of love here and there's too much to throw away. So I actually really like this for strengthening the bond, but through a realization that actually it could have gone either way. For your money and materials, you've got the Hierophant card with the Queen of Swords and the Nine of Swords. Nine of Wands, sorry. So there are big considerations about money and resources here. That Hierophant with the Queen of Swords, this could be a serious talk that you're having with somebody about money, finances, and resources. It could also, on the other side of this, be that you're having a serious conversation with somebody about your health or their health. So one way that this might show up, let's say you say to your significant other, you've got to stop smoking in the house because my chest can't handle it. Or, something along those lines. It could be as well, like when it comes to specifically to your finances, this could be a talk that you're having with a financial institution, bank, building society. I think for you guys in the States, it's called the IRS. For us here in the UK, it's the HMRC. Maybe you're interacting with a larger, transactional institution or, something along those lines. And with that Nine of Wands, this may be some kind of remedial action that is needed to be taken. Now, when it comes to your physical health and vitality, this could be literally speaking to a doctor, a therapist, or a specialist of some sort that has, they're speaking directly to a part of you that maybe has some kind of PTSD. Now, the reason I say maybe some part of you is because I'm not a doctor. I can't give you medical advice. This isn't a diagnosis before anybody even tries to get off the deep end with me. But the reason I bring this up is sometimes it's our body that remembers the trauma. Sometimes it's the mind, sometimes it's the psyche, sometimes it's the soul. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a really strong energy here where you are potentially looking at a different aspect of where you've been storing some kind of stuff. And that's manifesting potentially for some of you in a very physical way. So it's like you could be getting really solid medical advice this fortnight, absolutely, that helps you get to the bottom of something. But you might also be getting a really solid look at where you're where maybe the other side, the mental, the spiritual, the psycho-emotional side of you also starts to it's like you could find more symbiosis within yourself, I think is what I'm trying to say. Finally, when it comes to your home and environment, for a lot of you, it looks like there's either a big cleanup of some sort that has to happen. Maybe you've had a flood. If you're anything like me, we've literally just had the kitchen ceiling has all but fucking caved in. So we're dealing with that. And interestingly enough, that as I'm filming this, the Mars-Neptune square is perfecting. And this issue was an issue for us when this first started to happen. So that whole thing in the kitchen with the kitchen ceiling and the water pouring through it was a thing that started around that time, and it now is kind of like, this is the last pass. We finally found what we think is the issue. So really interesting that that's kind of showing up, but it does look like you're having to, maybe your work that you've had done on the home, you're having to talk to the tradesman to say, hey, listen, you did this, but you haven't done it right, and so it needs to be done again. All right. So that is your breakdown, but before we go, we're going to look at your cross purposes. So what I want to look at here is all of the great stuff that's coming in through your reading. What may be blocking that? Is it coming from outside? Or, as we know, just like happiness, sometimes the sabotage is it's like it's an inside job too. So let's see where they might be coming from. And for this, you get 2 cards, one major, and that is the Empress, right? So the Empress does suggest one of the cross purposes may come in. Yes, I don't want to get into the stereotypes, but it might not actually be perfectionism this fortnight. One of the things that may get in your way is vanity. All right, like this might be where it's like, no, I know best here, or it's like, and where maybe you don't, or you get some pushback or some kickback specifically from a woman in your life or someone with a lot of feminine energy. In this regard, they may actually know better than you, and this might be a time where whatever you consider your baby, whether this is a project, whether it is your job, whether it's something that you're doing at work, whether it's something that you're creating or doing at home, whatever it might be, just open your mind a little bit more to see what you're being said and why. And then you've got this with the 2 of Wands. Just because something is more expensive does not necessarily mean that is a marker of quality. If anyone understands this, it's a Virgo. Only this week, or this fortnight, sorry, you may allow your more of your sensibilities to get the better of you. And so I just want to say, try to get out of that. All right, like you might be like, yes, well, it costs this much, so it's absolutely going to do the job. And there might be someone saying to you, actually, I'll give you an example. I remember years ago, I went to a dinner party, and there was a sommelier there. She was talking about wines and champagne. It was lovely. It was really nice, and it was really nice to hear her talk. And she said, we have people come in and they're like, I just want the most expensive thing. And she said, do you want something that tastes good or something that just looks good, sparkly pink and fizzy? And she said, sometimes the cheaper end of the scale is actually better, and vice versa, right? So that's the thing that I guess is happening here. It's like maybe you're seeing something because it's shiny and it looks good and it costs a lot, and you're like, yes, this is absolutely going to do the thing. And it may not, right? You might be able to, this fortnight, be more Virgo, all right, when it comes to your purchases. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments. Do you love it? Do you loathe it? How does it speak to you? With that said, take care, and I'll see you soon.